Welcome! We've all been waiting for the Alpha 20 release, and by all accounts it's huge. And just a quick scroll through the patch notes has me counting some. It's like 70 pages or something, so it's by no means a small tiny update. This video is going to be a general overview, as we can't be sitting here 2 hours or more going line by line, at least not today. Instead, I want to focus on some of the major parts, and I'll see how I can dive deeper into more specifics per each area and an easy to follow way in the future. If you enjoy all this Alpha 20 content, I strongly suggest giving the video a like, subscribe, and ringing that notification bell. It really helps me, helps my channel grow, and helps you keep aware of all the new videos coming out. I will be putting out a lot of content, as I always do, for new versions of the game, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. The amount of comments has been snowballing, so I might not be able to respond to each and every one, but I do read them. Now, the FunPimps mentioned that they have been nearly doubling the team size over the past 2 years. And I think there are something like 60 people right now that are working on 7 Days to Die. That's insane. They do have, I think, something like 5 people working on other projects, but 60 people, that's a lot. And they've been listing out some of the major improvements here, and let's go through them. They do have a brand new version of their random gen world creation, and you might have seen some of the videos where I sort of tried to explain how the city tiles and the part system works based on what the FunPimps have been streaming and talking about on the stream, but it looks really good. There's so many new POIs, and they're saying now there's actually over 200 new. On the previous accounting, it was something like 170. So now we have a total of, and actually that's really nice. I've never seen or counted the total, but it's a total of 550, out of which 200 or more are new, or at least updated. Now, Navisgain has seen improvements to the city, terrain, etc., but they've also highlighted that Alpha 20 was not the focus, or rather the focus of Alpha 20 was not Navisgain, it was the random world generation. But still, at least they have been looking at making Navisgain a little bit better. Nearly 25 new HD characters, with a couple of improved with new shaders and stuff like that. I don't think the 25 is actually correct, because they are, well, maybe they're including like Trader, Bob, and Wrecked, where they improved the shaders, even though it's the same HD character as they had in Alpha 19. But either way, there's a lot of new zombies out there. They have new weapons, and I think the new weapons they're talking about mostly about the pipe weapons. And of course, they have done the HD, the high definition remake of a bunch of the old weapons that are out there. And of course, like I said, the new primitive pipe weapons are coming in. I think that's the 6th there. They have overhauled the shape menu with hundreds of new shapes organized. Actually, it's not just hundreds. If you remember previously, you had, I'm trying to think through. You had like one page of shapes that you can actually select. Now you have something like 1,200 shapes. So pretty much all the shapes that were in the game, or are in the game right now, will be able to be selected by the player as you are building. And this is going to be huge for building. Block placement improvements. I'm not sure. That probably includes the fact that now they're having this color coding for the structural integrity. And that allows you to see where things are going to be collapsing or getting close to collapsing, which is a really nice thing for when you're building. We have added the Robotic Drone companion. This is the one that they actually were supposed to release in Alpha 20, but never managed to get done. I'm glad they finally got it in here. It's a little bit of an anticlimactic thing, because we've been waiting for it for, well, a year and a half now. Dynamic Imposter system. Well, what does that mean? Renders accurate changes to POIs and player bases at far distances. I've talked about this in the past, where if you, let's say you make your base in the middle of the forest, like big tower, the Tower of Mortar or something, or whatever tower, that's that doesn't make sense. It's not the tower, it's the eye of Mortar. Let's say you make that in the wasteland somewhere, and then you go out of the render distance, meaning like 100 blocks or something away. It will vanish because you'll be able to see the distance of the mountains and maybe the cities there, but you won't be able to see what you've built. What they've done, they've actually implemented a system where it can actually render that even in the distant terrain. And they do talk about that further down in the patch notes specifically. And that's awesome. I believe it was actually they worked together with one of the modders in the community to make this happen. And this is really, really good. You'll be able to see the player-made bases in the world even from a distance. Now, rendering improvements of hundreds of new PBR models, I don't know whether that's optimization or just looking better, but quest improvements, which was actually needed, and we'll go through some more of that later on. But now we have the Restore Power at Night quest, which I think will be one part that is really improving. We need a lot more quests though, because the quest system, even though it was nice and interesting initially, is getting to be maybe a little bit boring. We do have the enemy AI improvements, so I wouldn't call it city spawning, but they're increasing the spawns in the cities, which is good. Ducking, it doesn't mean that they're going to go around quack, 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 quack. It means that they'll be able to get through, even if they're, let's say you have an entryway, a doorway that is like 1.5 tall or something, and the zombie model is something like 1.8 meters tall. They will be able to sort of duck under because it sort of makes sense. It's not like, oh no, my head is hitting the doorway, so I'm not going to get through. No, they're actually going to duck and get through. They're going to attack the obstacles. Head tracking, they actually had that in Alpha 19. Maybe that's better. Burst attacks. I don't actually know what this is about. I haven't really picked up them talking about that. That's going to be interesting. We're going to have to talk more about that and when we learn. Feral Sense game options for complete the new game experience. So the Feral Sense works, at least in previous versions, during the Blood Moon Horde, meaning the zombies have a much easier time to know where you are. And during Blood Moon Hordes, it's like 100% Feral Sense. They know where you are, even if you're hiding quietly in, underground or something. They know where you are. They have put some of that into the game options, so you can actually tweak that to make them a lot more likely to be able to hear or see or at least sense the player and come after you. Vehicle improvements, that's really nice because now we're getting more seats in the different vehicles. I believe the mini bike, the motorcycle will have 2, and the 4x4 will have 4, and the gyrocopter will have 3. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, gyrocopter will just have 1. Loot progression improvements, this is nice, and this is something that was really needed because they were struggling a little bit with, they don't want to give really good stuff early on or a lot of ammunition, because if you're on the sort of you're on day 2 and you're finding 200 rounds of 7.62, it doesn't really make sense. Now if you're on on a really high game stage of 5,000 or something, maybe it does make sense because you need a lot more ammunition. So they've been sort of improving the balance of that and the progression of that. And it's also dependent on the biome now. So certain biomes, such as the wasteland, will give you better loot. And that's really nice. And I think they might have done that actually for the different tiers of the buildings. Not sure. I wish they would do it for let's say nighttime as well. For Blood Moon Hordes will give you better better loot. I'm not sure what they have, but I would love to see that. Improve the dynamic music. They have been doing slow improvements of that. We actually saw that introduced in Alpha 19. This is the music that, for instance, when you're at home near your bedroll, you get one sound. If you're out and about, you get something else. They have actually been putting in battle music for the Blood Moon Horde, which is specific for that. And I think that's nice. Continually, it does need more work. And we'll see how nice it is in Alpha 20. I know some people turned it off in Alpha 19. I sort of like it. I do want it to be smoother though. Improved weather system. Something that was highlighted previously was that it would sort of go +1, -1, +1, +1, -1, -1. So it would sort of average out. So you would have sunny, and then a little bit cloudy, and then sunny, and then very sunny, and then a little bit sunny, and then a little bit cloudy, but it wouldn't make great big shifts. They've actually changed that over to have a lot more shifting, so you might have a sunny day, then you have a cloudy day, and then you'll have rainy day, and then you'll have stormy, and then you'll have sunny again, so that it shifts around more as opposed to basically be very much the same. Video options for anti-aliasing, I find this will probably make it look a little bit better and be a little bit optimized. I was reading this one actually. Animations have been improved from first person to third person. We'll see how many animations they've changed, because this is something that has been really needed. A lot of people have been talking about the animations are so outdated. They have been doing, for aiming at least, they have updated the reload animations and things like that, and it definitely is needed. It's needed because you used to have where, for instance, let's say you were jumping. When you jump yourself, you don't notice it, but if you see a friend jumping in a multiplayer, it's literally just the model just going up and going down. There's like no bending of the knees and stuff like that. I don't think that's in there today, but I do hope they're pushing forward to that to make it a lot more lifelike and a lot more realistic, even in third person, because that helps for multiplayer games. The new Dismemberment system has been integrated with some of the zombies. Now, some of the zombies is actually very vital, because they were highlighting that they're going to do it on some of the zombies. That's a bit of a tongue twister there. And not all, because they have to do that progressively and do it one by one. But we should be seeing that come in, and I would expect that as we're getting 20.1, 20.2, etc., we're going to see deeper with more and all of the zombies at the end of Alpha 20, hopefully. And that should be nice, be able to chop off the arms and the legs better, either the head and stuff like that, crushing the head, that'll be nice. Twitch integration, some people love it, some people hate it, and a lot of people don't care, but they have been updating that as well. If you've been catching Latent, he's been really good at showcasing changes to the Twitch integration and how that one has been improving as things go along. So thank you very much for that, Latent. Modding support has been improved with better world editing, level editing, random world, server XML, etc., etc. And this is something that's needed. We're still not there with Steam Workshop yet. I do hope that we are going to get to that fairly soon. They have been talking about only doing that when we go gold. I would like to see maybe an add-on something for 7 Days to Die that has some of this in there, because even if you do it once you've gone gold, it's going to take some time to make it work properly. It has to evolve, and if you only do that at the end, you're probably going to miss a lot of the feedback. So I do hope that they sort of get into that. Alpha 20 is not compatible with previous alpha worlds or save game data. What does that mean? Well, it means that when Alpha 20 drops, the first version is going to be experimental, which means that if you want to keep playing Alpha 19, don't do anything. If you want to play Alpha 20 experimental, hopefully on Monday, then you have to opt into that. And I'll show you on this weekend, probably tomorrow, the day after, how to do that. It's really simple. You catch it easily. But it means that you have to opt into it, and then you'll be in Alpha 20 experimental. At some point, Alpha 20 will be the latest stable version. And then regardless, your game will update to that version. But you can still roll back to an earlier version. But that's going to take a while, so it's nothing you have to worry about at this point of time. But it does mean that you can't load an Alpha 19 version of a save game into Alpha 20. It's not going to work, so you're going to have to start a new world. It's not going to delete any previous worlds, you just shouldn't be able to load it, so that should be pretty safe. New pre-gen maps have been created and can be used. There are obviously a lot of players, they go in and they go like, yeah, I want to play now. I don't want to wait 50 minutes to generate a new map. I just want to play. And then you either play Naviskane, which is pretty nice, or there's usually pre-gen 01, pre-gen 02 that are in the folders that you can just select and get going. And these are pre-generated maps that they have said, hey, let me pre-generate 50 of them and see which one looks good, and then we'll just include that in the game and you can start playing. It'll have basically be like a pre-generated random world that will have all the cool city stuff, the tiles and everything, but you can start playing it immediately. They do mention, however, that we advise that you delete the save game data folder before playing. I'm not really sure why, because as long as you don't load any other older versions, there shouldn't be an issue, but maybe there could be some problems. I generally don't. I have a lot of older versions, but that's also because I roll back and try out or make videos that are including some of these older versions as well. But this is something that you can think about doing as well. Maybe take a backup of your save game data folder and then basically wipe out the previous one. Just move it or something. And the Fun Pimps are saying they're extremely excited about this release. Well, so are we. And it's the largest alpha ever and jam-packed with new content, bug fixes, optimizations, and game balancing. And it's going to be a lot of stuff, and we will go into that in future videos. But what you should take away is that this weekend we're going to have this stream, or weekend, meaning that you'll be able to catch me. Make sure you check me on Twitch, on YouTube, as I play this and show this to you. On Monday, which should be on the Monday the 6th, you should be seeing the experimental version of Alpha 20 come out, and you'll be able to access it yourself. Now, this is just an experimental version. They will be getting feedback, getting bug reports from that version, fixing things, changing things, so it might not be compatible with the stable version, which means that you might have to continually restart. You'll be able to play it, but when they release a new experimental version, you might have to restart again. So don't go building some really big things and stuff like that, because you'll probably be disappointed if you end up having to restart your world because of changes in the format or the random world generation and stuff like that. So take a little bit of step back. This is really for testing, for trying out. It's not for a long-term server that you're going to be running for a year or two or something. It is basically just to get the version out there, get it in people's hands, try it out, provide bug reports, and just improve it until they manage to make it fully stable and have the Alpha 20 stable release coming out. But what do you think? Are you as excited as I am? Well, I'm going to leave the notes to the full patch notes if you want to go through that. I'll just stay tuned to my videos over the next few days where I'll be going through a bunch of these ones. So the video now is already probably around 15 minutes, and I don't want to make it into 2 hours here. So I'll see you on the streams, and have a wonderful weekend, and let's try this out on Monday as well and give the feedback to the Fun Pimps of what we are experiencing. Take care, Survivor.
Special thanks to the great patrons supporting the channel. If you would like to join the vetted community and support these videos, do follow the Patreon link.